He wasn't physically abusive, but he was emotionally abusive, and he used to gaslight me a lot and narcissistic. But we thank God that he didn't get to that other point. But the best thing is leaving these kind of setups and these kind of relationships, because I think as humans or women, but we want to mother guys, and I think that's one of getting into me and my relationships. I have this. I carry myself as a fixer.
Beats from Heaven with Mr. T. Sunday, 6 to 9 a.m.
As promised earlier on, Lesego Bile is in the building. I hope you are a watcher of YTV, because she's got an amazing show called Building Families. So I'm just going to briefly introduce her, and she's going to introduce herself. And then right after the break, we are going to get into the meat of the conversation. Morning, Lesego.
Morning. What a beautiful introduction. I like how you did the whole thing.
I know. Beautiful people need beautiful introductions. You feel
thank
me?
you so much.
Hey.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here, Mr. T.
Pleasure to have you. I was so honored that you're a follower of my content.
A fan.
Oh, lovely. I'm more than humbled to hear that.
Yeah. One of the things that made me follow you, is the work that you do. It's your humbleness. You're very down to earth. You're very grounded. So that's what I see when I look at your content. But in a very good way.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. So I do things like building families and all of that stuff. So I'm about personal development things, really easygoing things. So that's what I like about you.
Okay. Like I said, I am in studio with Lesego Bile. She is a TV host, a media personality, radio as well in there, and so many other hats. But I want to start off with Building Families. Go ahead and follow YTV, because if you want to know more about what Rogers want to talk about, you'll find it there. You'll find snippets of her show, Building Families. Lesego.
Yes, sir.
Where, when, and how did this show come about, Building Families, and the concept?
Okay, let's start it from radio. I did radio for a couple of years, right?
Sure.
I got comfortable in the seat, but I wanted to try. You know how radio is. People don't actually get to see your face, but they hear your voice, right?
Sure.
So I kind of said to myself, I'm such a chatterbox. I love people. I love engaging. Let me just try this whole TV thing. So one day, I was working as an operations manager at some hotel. I won't say the name.
Sure.
And I just started writing. I put this concept together. I want to take my experiences or some of the things that I've been through, and I want to put them out there, and I want to create a safe space. I want to create a platform for people to be able to talk about the elephant in the room. It was just a concept, and I remember Zabo was still head of marketing at YTV, and they used to come to this hotel to come and do conferences and workshops, and I just bumped into her. And I just sent her the proposal. And then she said, okay, cool, let's try it out. It happened so fast. You know things that are godly made, or I don't know, God intervention. They happen so fast. Any complication, and then I talked to a technical guy, and I talked to a particular lodge, and I just started finding people to have these conversations with, and we did season 1, and we are at season 4. We've pre-recorded season 5, and we're recording season 6 in March, and it's just a show that I guess people like. Yeah.
Love to hear it.
Yeah.
So tell me, can you briefly describe an episode of this series, let me call it that, Alien Warrior? It stood out for you, it touched you, it gripped you in a way.
Oh, I actually have to take a deep breath when I do that. All the series that I do are touchy, because we talk about gender-based violence, we talk about parent and child communication. I'm a GBV survivor myself. So I have these conversations with people that kind of help me with my healing journey. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes.
I don't come from a bad family setup, but there were, challenges there, because I did grow up with my stepfather. I have half sisters. So kind of finding that balance was not all that peachy. So the reason why I decided to call it building families was my experiences and just trying to teach people it's important that family structure is solid. You know, sometimes we say horrible things to children, we demoralize them. So the reason why I decided to do this show is actually started from the roots that how we grow our children is very, very important. Yeah, so if there's no structure, if there's no motivation, if there's no support, if there's no patience and tolerance, if you don't have the time to mold this little person become the best version of themselves, we're going to encounter hiccups, hence building families. So it has to do a little bit with me, but also pouring it out to other people.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I love that. We need more of those shows, I swear.
Yeah.
So you just mentioned now that you're a survivor of GBV. And I want to get into that because I have a lot of questions about GBV. First of all, before we get into your story of it, I want to know, how about the gender-based violence? What is the definition and why do we call it that?
Gender-based violence. It's a sketchy one. I'm gonna say this the way that I understand it. How gender-based violence? We're talking about inflicting pain onto somebody else. But I think sometimes there's such a misconception because how gender-based violence? Now this is the first thing that comes to me, and I think it's just so wrong. Now how bua ka gender-based violence ke boketsa le gore re bua ka sengwe se ileng gore sa amana le go utlwisa wa either motho wa mme kana motho wa re botlhoko violently. Okay. I don't know if that answers your question.
It does, but I want to know why there is the term, because I was talking to my brother and he believes the terminology gender-based violence. Violence. So
that's what I just said.
No, why do we put the word gender there? Because at the end of the day, hey, anyone can be a victim. Anyone can be anyone can go through it. So I want to know, how did it gender-based? Why does it shift to boom methat?
Look, okay, let's start with your initial question. Why is the gender actually there? I don't know why it's like that, but gender, right?
Okay.
Is it that not so?
Okay, so question, if I marry you or we're an item and then you are physically or whatever way assaulting me, is that GBV?
Of course it's GBV.
Okay.
It's GBV. That's why I said to you, gender-based violence and that's not so. There are women that are narcissistic, there are women that are very good at gaslighting, there are women that are emotionally abusive, and that are also physically abusive to men. So it shouldn't be like a one-sided thing. I totally agree with you, and agree with what your brother said.
Got you.
Yeah.
Right after this a short break, we're going to get into your story.
Yeah.
And I don't want to just get into your story alone, but some sort of wisdom from your experience. And then after that, I want us to ask questions regarding structurally, legally, and in other ways, what are the solutions? Because I feel like as a country, we've talked about the problems and we've broken them down. But then the solutions, I don't know if we've done enough talking and planning and execution of those solutions. So we've just defined, or at least tried to define, gender-based violence. I'm here with Lesego Bile, host of Building Families, and I want to now just hear a little bit about her experiences with gender-based violence, and more importantly, how she left or how it came to an end. And then we're going to go into structures that we could put in place, trying to fight this thing and win. And of course, our word or our message to government, because I know there may be a government official or two that watch this content, that listen to this show. I'm followed by the Minister of Sports and Arts.
Wow.
Jake, he follows my content.
Nice.
I met him at the State of the Nation address, and he knew me. and I was like, hey man, keep watching my content because one
we are watching you. Like you didn't know that I know you, but when I met you, I was like, hey, I actually follow you. I'm actually one of your fans. So you're doing a great job. You're doing an exceptional job. Maybe people might not say it enough. We're not good at I don't know whether it's appreciation, being affectionate, or telling people they're doing a good job. But if you can see a minister knowing you, if you can see Lesego knowing you and saying, look, I've been following you and I know what you do, it means you're doing an exceptional job.
Thank you so much. Just yesterday, face for had you barring and while I'm busy buying plate this brother must have been maybe my age, maybe slightly younger, whatever. He walks up to me. He's like, hey man, I know you don't know me, but thank you so much because last year I was going through something and you saved my life. I watched one of your TikToks and it was timely. It was exactly what I needed to hear. And I said, bro, would you make that video and keep doing your thing?
Yeah, 100%.
Let me hear your story. When did this particular toxic relationship start, and when did the toxicity start?
Let's start it here. Remember, I said that I'm a GBV survivor, so I'm like a little trauma ball, right? But that sees the light at the end of the tunnel. So I'll structure it like this. When I say that I'm a GBV survivor, it means that during my teenage years, I was raped, right? And that was that was the hardest place that I had to be in mentally, emotionally, because kind of when you have a perpetrator, somebody violating your body in a way that they shouldn't, it's something that can make you take away your life. It's something that can make you take away your confidence, your self-esteem, and all of that. So I speak very freely about it, and that's one of the reasons why I decided to do building families, because I have women that come on my show that say, look, I've been raped by my partner, I've been raped by my husband, or I was raped on the way to school, or I was raped by a maid. I have different women that come on my show and talk about being violated. And I don't know, maybe this one needs therapists or doctors. There's this thing about women that have been violated. I don't know whether we attract narcissistic men or we attract violent men, maybe because we don't feel good about ourselves, or we don't put ourselves in a situation to go through proper therapy and fixing ourselves. So that was an experience that happened to me as a teenager. But in my 30s, 30s, 35, I dated somebody who at some point started becoming emotionally abusive, to narcissistic, to gaslighting, to physically abusive. And I didn't let it go on for the longest time. I did get out, but I don't want to beat myself down by saying, okay, because you've gone through such an experience, why would you allow yourself to date a kind of person like that? Ever since that relationship, I'm able to spot red flags, and I guess I'm kind of going through a healing journey of working on myself. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. My comment on that attraction of people like that, the psychologist, lead therapist, the Bonebari, at a subconscious level, your mind kind of normalizes abuse to a level to say, this is the norm, I was raised going through this, therefore it only feels, because you end up feeling almost safe where it's unsafe. If
it feels normal.
It feels
because
normal.
That's something that you know and understand.
And then the day you date someone who's the opposite, someone who's kind, who's polite, who apologizes, who tries not to hurt you, that may freak you out, and you're like, should I be safe?
Not necessarily. I mean, I'm single and I'm searching, and I haven't bumped into that particular person. But I did do a 4 years. I did do a 4 years a couple of years ago, and I left this guy last year. He wasn't physically abusive, but he was emotionally abusive, and he used to gaslight me a lot and narcissistic. But we thank God that it didn't get to that other point. But the best thing is leaving these kind of setups and these kind of relationships, because I think as humans or women, we want to mother guys, and I think that's one of getting into me and my relationships. I have this. I carry myself as a fixer. So I think the thing that prolongs staying in the relationship more, even if the person is not physically abusive, is by pouring love and affection and time into this person, obviously seeing through the cracks, and that's where we get it wrong. And I want to tell the listeners and the women that are listening, or anybody that's going through any kind of abusive relationship or emotionally abusive relationship, somebody's not going to change if they don't want to change. And the process shouldn't take so long. You get what I mean? If somebody is pouring love, affection and attention into you and trying to help you and trying to help you with your personal development, it could be your career, it could be anything, the process shouldn't take so long.
Do you believe people change to begin with? Are those who believe once you are a narcissist, you are always a narcissist? Do you believe that a narcissist
can change?
Their narcissism to abuse and to belittle. Do you think that they change? Have you ever seen one change?
I think people can change. I'm not going to call myself a narcissist. I'm far from being a narcissist, but I'm not perfect. And I believe that when I was growing up, there are people who can say, oh, but I believe that somebody can change if they want to change. I believe that I changed. You know, there are people who can say, hey, I'm a homebody. I don't really want to get out of my house. You know, and I have to get out of my house because there's something important to do. So people change.
Yeah, but you're not a narcissist. Can a narcissist change? In my life, I've known about 6 or 7 narcissists. I've never seen one change.
Yeah,
I've seen one get better, but I've never seen one change.
I don't want to say, if we say they can't change, then it means that we're totally crushing somebody who feels that they can change. I'm going to remain hopeful and say maybe they can change. Let's remain hopeful.
I get it.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, moving on to... We are in Botswana.
All right.
It's no secret that GBV, if we should... let's just call it that for now. It's a battle. It's a war. It's almost a pandemic. A lot of people believe we should be on state of emergency for the levels of GBV that we face. Before I get into us talking about the solutions, and we will, and that's my favorite part of this conversation. But is it possible to use one word to answer where this is coming from? What's causing all this violence, abuse? What one thing is the genesis of such levels of abuse, Mobuzwa?
I think it has to do with our upbringing. I really think it has to do with our upbringing. And what I'm going to say right now sounds cliche, and I've actually gotten to a point where I'm kind of tired of saying it, but we're going to have to say it. We keep saying the same thing. Men were not given an opportunity to behave right. Men were not given the platform to cry and show emotions and all of that stuff. But we can't keep saying the same thing. We have to get to a point where men have to take accountability for hurting children. Men have to take accountability for hitting women. Because we've been saying this thing for the longest time. Yeah. We're not. Everybody's saying it. Every therapist is saying it. Every radio presenter is saying it. But when do we get to a point where we're saying, okay, everybody's violent. A woman and a man can be violent. Yeah. But because we tell I don't know the statistics now, but we tell every day opening newspaper, hey, lawyer, hey, what, all week, ladies, right? And it's mostly men. So now, if I have to post this question to you, and if I'm on your platform, when are we going to get to a point where men are going to start taking accountability? Women have taken accountability. Somewhat, the people in our communities have taken the accountability by research or whatever to say, yes, society they were not given a platform to say to feel safe or in a sensitive way. The NGO gona le maphata when are they going to take accountability? Right. Because self-introspection we did our knows. There's that point where you sit down and say, oh my God, do I love how this makes me feel? This is not normal. I talked to my boys yesterday over a 6-pack or whatever the situation, or at church, and I don't like how I feel every time I have to put hands on my woman, whether it's a physical thing or it's an emotional thing. So that in itself is a red flag. It's a self-introspection introspection thing. So what is Mr. T now doing to say, okay, I've talked to my boy. How do I now get help? Because this is a mental thing. This is an emotional thing. So I'm posing the question to you. When are we now taking accountability as men?
Right. On Facebook, can't do men ever talk to each other about GBV? I don't think they do so enough. And I'm going to be blunt and say, of course not all men, but many men are selfish. Many men are just selfish and just lustful. And it's one thing to be selfish and lustful, but it's another thing to be selfish and lustful and not see anything wrong with yourself and not see the need for repentance, without even bringing religion much into it, with not seeing the need for reform. You are a normal person. I'll give you an example. And I don't know if I've ever been so disgusted. I don't know if I'll ever take this image out of my head. I don't know how many years ago it was. Just say a few meters away. So it's cold. It's still winter time. And I'm standing behind these two gentlemen. They're in front. Omunge on the right, Omunge on the left. So the tall, skinny guy and the other dark-skinned buff guy, a lady wearing a miniskirt and a jacket on top or whatever. So the one guy says, I don't understand how this woman can dress like this. I comment nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
The other guy about, hey, get the assistance in
Jeez.
This guy said this loud enough for all of us to hear. And at that point, I'm like, so to you, because there's no way a guy can speak like, get up.
Yeah, I hear you.
There's no way you can say it loud and proud like that when you're not part of the problem and when you wouldn't potentially do it yourself. I said to myself, the other worst thing that happened is the friend didn't really say anything in response. I'm Khalimel. So I asked myself, the gents, when are we going to when are we going to hold each other responsible?
Accountable.
Yeah, like call each other out.
Yeah.
And say, for example, whenever men meet and hang out as just men, when are we ever going to start rebuking each other, correcting each other, and just calling out nonsense for nonsense and saying, gents, never let me hear what one of us here is beating his wife or his girlfriend. We don't roll like that. When you start rolling like that, I feel like we're more afraid of being shy and being embarrassed and ashamed because now I hate GBV and I hate violence, or should I say whatever form of abuse.
Yeah.
Like an outsider.
Yeah.
We're more afraid of that than the fact that it's happening.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
That makes sense, but as you're talking, my mind is pacing a little bit, and I want to add this. As a community, Mr. T, okay? How can fighting?
Okay.
Just try and think about those things.
Okay.
How long does it take for somebody to say, hey, Emangho? It's a man thing of taking accountability, but at the same time, it's also a community thing. Those guys, they will literally sit in the car, have drinks and whatever. So it can be a man taking accountability thing, but also us as a community, what are we saying? And the reason why I'm saying this, I'm going to give you a typical example for you to understand, right? There's a couple that is all over social media every other day. I don't want to say their names. It's either the man is insulting the woman. But because social media, you're not platform in Zinjalo. Or both side the comments say hello, did I copy at the hello we get on Nagatla Sahastra hello, I will get like a bad. Or Libella, the Kakolo. tse re di gakolang mo kone le vusi go ka nna halele and I'm not saying that everybody is there are people that are not trying to do the right thing or advise them in the right way,
majority.
But we are entertaining. We tell a laughing emoji, we tell omongwari tsipa because o rata go bina in this particular way, we tell le gore o mongwe thegile o mongole, we tell le gore bile we are doing memes. So gona la accountability ya borre, gona la accountability ya rona re lela hatse in a community. So what are we saying about gender-based violence hella at large? Because we can't keep pointing the finger ya gore okay ke borre hela le ene vusi hela la ha lenteng. It's wrong hela gore aba a khona go dirisa ditlhapa tsa di dirisang to re hela ibile the father of her child aba simula abu
husband. Remember they're legally married.
Okay, yes. The husband almost similar mo social media. What about the neighbor? Because ra bona ba bona ba tsa di video batho ba emeka le bone di neighbor tse o bona hela gore ba ga maragile ba emela go ba tsaba le go akgela o bo ipotsa gore le nna ke le neighbor a ga ke founela mapodisi. Am I doing the right thing or am I not doing the right thing? Because 2 days later these people are together. So gender-based violence is a serious pandemic, and how we are handling it as individuals in a community and
we're entertaining it.
Yes.
There's a story, 2016-17, somewhere there.
Yeah.
It's about 8 p.m. I was staying in G West, phase 1. I'm driving into G West, get to our side, Yabo block 9. It was after 8 p.m., maybe 9 p.m., I don't know. It's dark. I see this lady running out of G West onto, what's that road that goes towards Motown, whatever that road is called. And she looks like she's panicking.
Right.
And I'm like, what is she get? So immediately I thought, no, okay, my road. I park the car and I'm like, and she gets into the car. So I'm like, hey, and I'm like, my sister, what's going on? She looked like she was in her mid-30s.
Right.
And for some seconds she didn't answer me. She was just panting and looking after
catching her breath. Yes.
So I'm thinking, good thing what take you like I don't know. And then I'm like, where are you going? She's like, no. She starts directing me. And then I drive to wherever, I'm assuming it's her house. I get and I go to the house and I park the car. I'm like, my sister, is everything fine? What happened? And she's like, I just got into a fight with my man. I don't know if it's the husband or the baby daddy or the spouse or whatever. Let's just say the husband. And I'm like, why were you running then? Literally, she was running like this, and the guy. So I park there for a moment and I just talk to her. I'm like, tell me everything. What's going on? I can't remember how the argument had started. I think basically, if I remember, he had cheated, and she was confronting him. And you know how some men, they get more angry at you for confronting than you were that they cheated.
Yes.
So I'm not sure whether he put hands on her, but by the looks of things, either he was about to put hands or he put hands, because you don't just run. Anyway, and I parked the car there, and then the guy is still home, and she goes into the house, and I didn't get into the house per se, but I went into the yard and I told her, hey, please get back into the car. I don't know what's about to happen. Get back into the car. And she gets back into the car, and then I'm like, my sister, I'm really afraid to leave you. Should I take you to the police? What's going on? Fortunately, across the road, there were these guys, young men about in their early 20s, Manyora Street.
Yeah.
She doesn't want me to take it to the cops. Bile, it looks like this is one of those domestic issues. You know how some couples won't want any external intervention. They just want to handle it by the two, and they don't want to leave each other. Whatever. If you hear any noise,
right.
And I drove off, and then something told me to drive back. 5 minutes later, I drove back. I was like, my gents, has there been any noise? No, it's cool. They were still there. Sort of. I was like, gents, any noise? Let's end with and I left. Once back to your question about men, I don't think the average man would have done that. Or let me not even say man. I don't think the average person would have done that, because we have a very weird balance between and potentially saving a life, because essentially, this is what happens when you end up hearing on the front of
all sorts of stories.
Do we care about each other? Do we actually want this violence thing to come to an end? I think that's a better question.
One would say yes and one would say no, because if you met her running the way that she was running and, getting into your car and she was hyperventilating and all of that and there was help, why didn't she take the help? And look, we're not here to judge anyone, and it also depends on her emotional state or her mental state or what seems usual to her. Maybe baby did whatever the situation, and that's just how they live. So I don't know how to answer that question, but I will say, if you know in your subconscious you don't want anybody to inflict pain on you, leave. If you know what it's a lifestyle that does not add value to you as a person, then leave. Because like I'm saying to you, I've been in a physically abusive relationship way when I was younger, in my 30s. I didn't let it go on for the longest time, but I left. And I saw to myself that there's nobody who's ever going to lay hands on me, right? And then you go along, healing, trying to do things the right way. And then Mr. T is narcissistic. That guy's always trying to drag you down. You can't hang around with those friends. There are narcissistic men that will even stop you from going to church. And here's the thing, these things and we don't actually know what that is, because a guy will just say, oh babe, please don't go out with your friends, let's have date night. It's the first thing, and then you disappoint your friends. Your friends, oh, you're going out with your friends, babe, are you going dressed like that? Oh my god, I'm so jealous. Why don't you just wear something a little bit? I thought you'd wear those dresses for me. He cares about me. Oh, he doesn't want me. But he's going to cheat on you with somebody who's dressed the very same way he doesn't want you to look. So we need to understand as people what this thing takes in emotional intelligence to be able to pick it up, because it starts up gradually. Come so hard, don't wear that lipstick. I don't like how it looks. You know what I mean? Come so I get again. Mr. T once, when you're my friend, Mr. T, please come and pick me up. There's something wrong with my car. We go to the same church. How
insecurities.
You're dating Mr. T. He's lying. He's trying to get you into bed. So it really takes a level of maturity and emotional intelligence to be able to say, this is healthy and this is not healthy.
So my last question as we conclude, because we're out of time.
Great.
Here is Minister of Youth and Gender Affairs, Lesego.
Oh my gosh.
Here is the government. We've got the president. We've got all these people. And here is the Minister of Justice and Correctional Services, Honorable Ramotwana. Who and how can we help mitigate this issue? Who's in charge? Who's responsible? What do we want from our government?
You're putting me on the spot there, especially with the people that you've put on, and Lesego Chombos, whatever. Let me answer it this way, without calling anybody out. Everyone that you've mentioned is responsible. The people that you've mentioned need to get on the ground. They need to understand. I don't know how to say this. We're all responsible for gender-based violence. And they have to get out of that comfort zone. Other countries, other institutions. It's not just a Botswana thing. Recently I had a therapist all the way from South Africa on building families to say, okay, you are American and you live in South Africa. As a therapist, how are you handling your clients that whatever? Let's get together. It's
different
not just
angles.
Exactly. Different angles. Yeah, that's all that I have to say regarding those people that you've just mentioned.
To be honest with you, you've answered actually very well, because there isn't one way and one way alone to solve these things. Someone's trying to call. You're right. If we were to just travel to a few countries that have somewhat overcome this pandemic we're trying to overcome, maybe we'll get a few other good ideas.
Can I just throw in something quickly?
Sure.
I know we're running out of time. And the other thing is, you spoke about our government, right? And our government is doing great. And these people that are in these high places, not demoralize them and help them do better. But here's the thing, we have Mototana Lesepa Mohaleshi. I loved her to bits. She was a sister to me, even though we didn't engage privately. But Mototana Lesepa ngotla batsa ma go reporta gore kana ke ntse ke kitikwa ke motho 1 2 3 4 5 motho a teng o tla ba tsama a ba go hiwa Bile e be re letsatsi la teng a ba go bola tsalame. So obosila we ipotsa gore lone, and this thing is something, it's not just a Botswana thing. It's the people in the high places, these people in this government, how seriously do they take gender-based violence? Because as a person that has been raped before, and I know this because I've associated and I've talked to other women such as myself, somebody will go and rape you, and then this person is given a year or 2 years of a jail sentence, and then when they get to this thing, good behavior, they do this good behavior thing. So that two year sentence because of good behavior, they end up staying there for 8 months. So as a survivor myself, I sometimes get a little bit baffled. One of these people in these government places, what are they saying? The people who are responsible to protect us, maybe they can't protect us at that instant, but when they are on those platforms, that direction, because we are giving you 10 years, because violating somebody in itself, it's not a good thing. 2 years. So what are we saying?
We're taking it light. We're just taking
so if those people are supposedly taking it light, what about the perpetrator? Just like that guy you were talking about. And seriously, if you guys went there and it was probably 4:30, what at the end of the day about 2 minutes, 6 months. It's your word against his. Oh my God, it's a topic for another time.
Definitely. We will try and engage for part 2. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. Me Lesego Bile, where can we get you on the socials, and how can we get our hands on Building Families and watch it for ourselves?
Building Families, it is on YTV, and they've got a decoder, Freeview decoder. Okay. We've recently just started putting snippets of Building Families on YouTube, on Facebook. I'm a straightforward person. I'm just Lesego Bile. Yeah. And my number, I don't usually like sharing my number.
Oh, no need.
Yes, but if you're looking for me, just call YTV. They'll direct you to me. And my email is lesegobile0606@gmail.com.
Yeah, the email is fine. People usually behave on that one.
Beats from Heaven with Mr. T.